The Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4 is a 7.6-inch dynamic AMOLED display with 2176 x 1812 resolution, where the Z Fold 3 screen was 2208 x 1768 resolution. It's a nominal change that's mostly due to the updated chassis. It also supports an adaptive refresh rate of 1 to 120 Hz. The low end of the range is useful for saving battery life by not refreshing the screen when it's not needed, while the high end means smoother gameplay and video action. The defining feature of this screen is of course that it folds, and Samsung has done some re-engineering here. Under the strengthened ultra-thin flexible glass, Samsung has removed a metal plate which helps to make the phone thinner and lighter, and replaced it with a strong mesh that's not stuff. What you can see and feel though is the crease. It shows up when the screen is dark, and if you run your finger across the screen you will feel it too. Generally it's unnoticeable when watching video, but you might occasionally detect a slightly darker band running through your Netflix selection. There is a camera on this main display, but it's easily hidden by a tiny disk of pixels that the phone can turn on and off. When it's time to use the camera, the punch-out hole suddenly appears, highlighted by an illuminated ring like the crease. You usually won't even notice this little circle when it's not illuminated, but on some brighter images and scenes, it can be visible. Overall, this is still an excellent screen with all the real estate you need to do everything from taking pictures to putting the device in flex mode, basically bent into an L shape, which lets you use one half as a keyboard and the other as your screen laptop style. The cover screen has also gotten an upgrade. It's still a 6.2-inch dynamic AMOLED screen with a 2316 x 904 resolution compared to the Z Fold 3's 2268 x 832 resolution, but now it's 2.7mm wider than the cover screen on the Galaxy Z Fold 3. It also has an adaptive refresh rate, though in this case it's 48 Hz to 120 Hz. Is it possible that we have reached the age of refinement in the foldable phone story? With the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4, Samsung apparently hasn't tried to reinvent the genre or radically alter the foldables design and display. Instead, this latest Galaxy Z device brings a number of small but welcome design enhancements over the Z Fold 3, plus a new processor and upgraded camera array. All of this adds up to a handset that's lighter and thinner than its predecessor, and generally even better equipped to serve as a traditional 6.2-inch Android 12 handset that just happens to pack an expensive flexible 7.6-inch display inside. This is a do-everything device that presents few compromises. Yes, the Galaxy Z Fold 4 is, when folded, noticeably thicker than your average smartphone. It's nearly double the thickness of the Samsung Galaxy S22. And the cover screen is a little narrower than the displays on most Android handsets, but these are small prices to pay for a phone that's productivity friendly while being able to slip easily into a pocket when folded. Samsung has really leaned into productivity possibilities via an update to its One UI software. Now, in addition to supporting multiple apps simultaneously, up to 4 at a time on screen, including one floating window, you have a new customizable app dock at the bottom of the screen from which you can drag out apps to launch them. It even supports S Pen input, but more on that, yes, but with a big caveat detailer later. The cameras are excellent and familiar, with Samsung essentially borrowing the Samsung Galaxy S22's camera array and slapping it on the back of the Galaxy Z Fold 4. Do we wish that $1,799 handset came with the absolute best camera technology Samsung has to offer? Of course, but we don't think many people will miss the 10x zoom or 100x space zoom options. Power-wise, the Galaxy Z Fold 4 features the best mobile CPU Qualcomm currently has to offer, the Snapdragon 8 Plus Generation 1, backed by 12MB of RAM. This chip isn't quite powerful as Apple's A15 Bionic, but Qualcomm is closing the gap, and based on our testing, the chip has all the power you need for most typical tasks and enough headroom for more CPU-intensive ones like editing 8K video streams. This is also an Apple gaming device and a real pleasure to use when it comes to a good Netflix binge. It's an attractive handset both when it's closed and you are looking at the cover screen, and when unfold into its larger tablet mode. Because the hinge is less prominent than on the Z Fold 3, you can also fool yourself into believing that this is just another non-folding handset. Sure, this crease on the inside screen is still visible and you will feel it when swiping your fingers along the display, but again, these are fair trade-offs for having a folding glass screen. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, feel free to share it with your friends and keep watching Best Buy to get your top-notch day-to-day commodities.